Oh, goody.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Zombies here again, and today we're back with another Marble Snap video. So today we need to have a talk about series drops. So series drops have not happened in quite some time, a few months now, and when the series drops kind of stopped happening or happening in lower numbers, we were told, well, this is as a result of, the spotlight system. We need desirable cards in the spotlight so you can want to, engage with the new system. And a lot of people were willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, and the more time has gone on, I think the worse this is getting, and October, I think, is going to be the breaking point. Now, initially, when I was recording this video the first time, I was talking about some predictions for series drops, as most notably, there have been a handful of cards that have not been included in the Spotlight caches. But we actually got a developer question answer about that seems to debunk this theory. So we'll look at that in just a second, but the cards I'm referring to here are Howard the Duck, Living Tribunal, and Stegron. So Stegron and Howard have not ever been featured in a Spotlight cache, and the Living Tribunal has only been featured one time and is not listed in any of the future data mines going through the next 2 months. Tribunal stings for a lot of people, it seems, because it is a really kind of fun, interesting combo deck, and it was actually worse and then got buffed like a week after it went out of spotlights. So now and for the next 2 months, the only way you're going to be able to acquire the Living Tribunal if you want to play that deck is to cough up 6,000 tokens, which is not something that's easy to get at all anymore. So my initial theory here was, well, the reason these cards aren't being featured is because if series drops come back, these might be the cards that they series drop. Obviously, Howard the Duck and Tribunal are Series 5 cards. However, in the past, they've talked about the fact that, well, maybe we'll drop a card directly from 5 to Series 3 if we think that's the right thing to do. And Howard the Duck, I think, is a poster child for the card that should be dropped right into Series 3 because, well, I think I've seen Howard played about 5 times, and I don't think any of those games were won. It's just not a very good card, and it isn't very exciting either. I'm sure some people like it, has some fun lad synergy, but in a game with only 12 deck slots, it really doesn't seem to be worth the inclusion, and it definitely doesn't seem to be worth wasting a spot in your Spotlight cache or your tokens on. But then we got this developer Q&A answer, and the question was basically, hey, why are we getting so many repeats in Spotlight caches before we're seeing some cards that haven't ever been featured there, like Howard or Stegron? This seems like a really weird thing to do. Why are they doing it this way unless, they're going to be dropped through series drops potentially? And then the answer we got here is just really bad, and honestly, I find pretty concerning. One of the main reasons for duplicates right now is the availability of variants for cards that can go into the Spotlight cache. If we do not have a Spotlight variant for that card ready, then we have to hold it until one is available. We're building out our variant pipeline further to get in front of the needs to keep the Spotlight cache fresh and without undue gaps between highlighting specific characters. This is insane. This is actually insane to me. So basically what this is saying is, well, we don't have a variant we're ready to throw out there in spotlights for Howard the Duck or Stegron or another Tribunal. So if you want those cards, fuck you, pay me. Or just don't get those cards. Because if you want those cards, you are not going to be able to get them through the system, which is the primary method of card acquisition for most players now for Series 4 and 5 cards. This is just insane. So right now, nobody cares a whole ton because these aren't the most desirable cards. Living Tribunal is definitely the best of the bunch, as it has kind of a more real deck, but definitely more of a fringe deck, but one people like nonetheless. But the thing is, this could happen to good cards or cards people want, and if they miss that initial window and Second Dinner doesn't happen to have a variant ready for that card, well, tough shit, you're not getting the card. Unless you pay them a whole ton of money to get it through tokens, which have gotten harder and harder to acquire. This is just insane. I'm honestly just like flabbergasted at this being their logic for why these cards aren't showing up. I was really hopeful this was an indicator that series drops are coming back, and after hearing this, I really doubt series drops are coming back anytime soon. And that brings about a bigger discussion about series drops, kind of why they changed, and how this new system is not exactly as good as they painted it to be if series drops aren't coming back or if they're coming back in very small amounts. The old system, for all its flaws, gave players more agency than the new system, which encourages gacha and gambling. But the other thing that was really nice about the old system was, even though people didn't get a lot of cards right away on release, but at least then, if you were Series 3 complete, you know you only had to wait a specific number of time before you got those cards essentially for free. And I think that is the main reason why they changed this business model. It's not just to get more people getting the new cards upon release, it's to artificially make it more profitable for them to kind of bleed people dry on getting more of the cards, rather than those players just getting those cards for essentially for free if they're just willing to wait 2 or 3 months. A lot of people like to point to the math of the new system and saying why it's better and whatnot, but here's the thing. A lot of the math done about the new system is done under the condition that series drops will resume and resume at a regular pace once the desired number of cards are in the Spotlight system. And frankly, I just don't think that's going to happen at this point. As of the recording of this video, there are currently 34 cards in Series 4 and Series 5 total. I expect this number to keep ballooning upwards for the significant future. Honestly, I'll be surprised if series drops resume at all before the end of this year. And one of the worst things about this Spotlight system and the lack of series drops is the system gets actively worse the more cards you have. So as time progresses, more and more people are going to be finding, oh wow, there aren't as many Spotlight weeks that are appealing to me. This is also why I find the argument that they need new variants for these Spotlights to be kind of insane, because here's what's going to happen. When people get more and more cards, and they also happen to get variants for some of these cards, even players like me who have spent money on cosmetics and value the cosmetics pretty highly, I don't need 2 Spotlight variants for the same card. And I think that's something they've really overlooked in this system, and it's going to push people away from opening it. Because yeah, maybe there's one people really, really like and they go for it. I think you're going to have a much harder time getting people to go for that same character with a different Spotlight variant, as they're probably just going to use the one they like. As when you're comparing getting another cosmetic for a card you already own and have a cosmetic you like for, compared to getting a brand new card to play with, I think that's going to be an easy choice for a lot of players. Ultimately, when Marvel Snap was in beta, they clearly wanted this to be a gacha game. That's why the infamous Nexus events happened. It showed they really wanted gacha to be the primary way of introducing new cards. And now that we're closing in on a year since release, they finally made Marvel Snap the gacha game they always wanted it to be. Is the gacha system less offensive than it was initially with Nexus events? Sure, totally is. It is a lot better. But saying it's a lot better is kind of like saying the difference between eating hot shit versus cold shit. You're still eating shit. It's still not good. So yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I hope series drops resume. But what I think is going to happen based on what we've seen so far, and based on especially this dumb response about the cosmetics being the reason they're holding back cards in the Spotlight caches, I really don't think we're going to be seeing series drops at all throughout the rest of this year. And if they do come, it's going to be like maybe 1 or 2 cards. It's not going to be very much. And the thing is, the longer that they wait, the more likely it is that people are going to end up getting one of these cards that drops randomly. So by the time series drops do happen, they're not even going to feel impactful to a larger amount of the player base. If they wait another 3 months and drop Stegron, how many people are going to have gotten Stegron in their random slot and effectively still have no series drop at all? I think this is a really big issue. I think they really need to take a look at Spotlight caches and reevaluate what they're doing here for the long-term health of the game. Because the current system, as it is, I don't think is sustainable, and I think is going to actively hemorrhage players away from the game. So yeah, those are my thoughts on series drops, all that stuff. I honestly wish we had the old model back, because even though there are some not awful elements about the new system, the old system provided more agency, and it basically stuck true to their original premise of the game, which was, hey, even though you're not going to get every new card on release, if you keep up with the game and play the game, you'll eventually just get all those cards for free. And it just doesn't really feel like that's the same kind of thing they're going for anymore. And that's really a shame. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.